Good evening. In previous session, I have discussed about the concept of instance variables. So in today's session, we are going to see about remaining two variables. One is static variable and another one is instance variable. So first, let us see about static variables. So let us see about static variables. So before going to see in detail about static variables, once briefly I will discuss about instance variables so that we can understand clearly what is the difference between instance variable and a static variable. So what is meant by a instance variable? When we have to use that instance variables, let us see now. In brief, let us see now. So if you are going to create, let us take one small class here. So a class test I am going to take. Here I am going to take a constructor init. Here I am going to write a self, and here I am going to take self dot a equal to 10. I am going to consider. In the same way, I am going to define one more method called as define m1. Here I am going to write a self, for example. So here I am going to write a self dot b equal to 20. Now for this class, I have created three variables t1, t2, t3. So in these three objects, I am creating three objects for the class test. So t1, t2, t3. So whenever these three are going to be created, by default, this constructor is going to be executed. So here a equal to 10, here a equal to 10 will be available, and here also a equal to 10 will be available. So what about this b value? So let us consider here t1 is calling this m1. Then what happens? Then for t1 there is one more instance variable called as b will be available for the t1. It is not available for t2 and t3. Reason is what? T2 is not calling m1 and t3 is not calling m1. So this is about so here what we can tell about these instance variables. Instance variable means whenever you require a separate copy for each and every object, then we have to use the concept of instance variables. Okay, so where we can declare instance variables? First one is what? Inside a constructor. If you are going to declare inside a constructor, we have to use which variable? Self variable. In the same way, second one, we can also declare inside a instance method. So whenever you are going to declare inside by using a inside a instance method, there we have to use what? Self variable there also. Third one is what? Outside the class. We can also declare instance variable outside the class. So whenever you are going to declare an instance variable outside of a class, there we have to use what? Object reference. Okay, so in these three cases, if we consider, if we are going to declare the instance variables inside a constructor, then whatever the object we are going to create for that class, for every object those variables are going to be available, like a. So a is available, a is available, a is available. But in these two cases, we cannot say that all objects will have the same type of instance variables. Reason is what? In this case, for example, in second case, instance method case, here I am using what? M1 as an instance method. So T1 is calling M1, so that B is available for only for M1, sorry, only for T1. T2 is not calling, and T3 is not calling M1. So B value is not available for T2 and T3. Okay, we cannot say that if you are declaring inside a method, if you are declaring instance variable inside a method, we cannot guarantee that every object will have that particular variable. Reason, we have to call externally. Okay, separate we have to call that particular method, so that then only we will get that instance method. The particular object is going to have that instance variable. Next, what about outside the class? Here in this case, T1 is going to write T1 dot B equal to 40. Then what happens? Sorry, T2, let us take T2 here. T2 dot B equal to 40. Now B value will be what? 40. So as here T2 is going to use dot B, that means what? In T2, B is going to have a value 40. So what about T3? So there is no B value. That means if you are going to use these two types for declaring instance variables, we cannot guarantee that all objects will have same type of instance variables. But if you are going to use the concept of constructors, then I can guarantee that for each and every object, same type of instance variables are available. So this is what, where we can declare the instance variables. Next, how to access this one? So yesterday's class we have seen. So there also we have seen from outside the class how to access, from inside the method how to access. We have seen all those concepts in previous session. So next one, how to delete. How to delete? So we have to use a del keyword, so that if you are going to delete any instance variable inside a class, for example inside a class, then what you have to write? Del space self dot variable name. Okay, del space, what do we have to write? Self dot variable name we have to write. Otherwise, if you want to delete outside of the class, then what we have to write? Delete object reference we have to write, like t2, t1, t3. Those are called as object references. Object reference dot that particular variable name. So if you want to delete any variable from an object, we can use these two types. Okay. So this is about static instance variables we have seen in yesterday's session. So now we are going to see about static variable. Okay, right. So what is the when we have to use the concept of instance variables? When we require a separate copy of variables, then we have to go for separate variables, separate copy of variables for every object. Then we have to use the concept of instance variables. But here static variable is different. That is, so there I have told you already what, where we can declare in constructor, in instance variables, constructor, in instance method, and in third place is what? In constructor, instance method, and outside of the class also we can declare a instance method, sorry, instance variables. Now we are talking about static variables. There instance variables is also called as what? Object level. There it is called as what? Object level. Now we are talking about a static variables. So static variables are declared directly inside a class. So this point you have to remember. So if the variable that is declared directly inside a class, directly inside a class, that is nothing but what? That means outside of or outside the methods. Okay, very important point. So what is this? The variables declared directly inside a class and outside the methods are called as static variables. Okay, now, so in the case of instance variables, for every object a separate copy is created. But in the concept of static variable, for all the objects, for all the objects of that class, for all the objects of that class, only one copy, only one copy of static variable will be created. One copy of static variable will be created. This is important point. This is the main difference you can understand about instance variable and static variables. That is what? Only one copy of static variable will be created, and it is shared between what? All the objects of that particular class. That is, just I will take one example to demonstrate this point. Next, I want to tell you a small next last point, important point about this static variable. So generally, if you want to access a variable inside a class, there I am going inside a instance variable inside a class, then I am going to use self. Outside of the class, I am going to use what? Object reference. We know this already. We have seen the examples about this instance variables. But if you are talking about a static variable, we can use class name, or we can also use object reference. We can also use object reference. As we have already seen here, object reference. Here one point I have to discuss, that as we can use object reference, but it is not recommended to use. Better don't remember this point also. Reason is, if you use object reference for static variables, if you use object reference for instance variables, you may confuse between the static and instance variables. You may not understand which one is a static variable and which one is a instance variable. So it is recommended to access static variables or static methods. We will see it later. Now we are talking about static variables, so that if you want to access static variable, it is recommended to access only with the help of class name. So I will show you the example how we can access with the help of class name, how we can access with the help of object reference. But which one is recommended? It is recommended to access static variables with the help of class name only. Okay. So now let us take one small example where I can demonstrate all these 3 points. Okay. Just I will take a small example. One class I am going to take, and I will show about the static variable. Just I am going to take a class test I am going to take. In this class test, just I am see here, I am taking one variable. Is it inside a method? It is not inside a method. Is it inside a constructor? It is not inside a constructor. So it is directly written inside a class. So this type of variables are called as static variables. Now I want to define I want to write a constructor also here. So just I want to differentiate instance variables and what we can say static variables. So that I'm going to take one instance variable also here. That is self dot b equal to, I will take one value that is 20. So in my program, in my class, how many variables are there? There are two variables. One is instance variable, another one is static variable. So A is static and B is instance. So for that I am going to create an object t1 and t2. Two objects I am going to create. T2 equal to test I am going to write. Now observe here, for every point I will explain clearly here itself when I am going to write this statement here. So now what happens, t1 and t2. So as we know that two memory locations will be created and referred by t1 and t2 here. Now this is which object? Test object. Is there any instance variables? Yes. So first let us talk about instance variables. B equal to 20 and B equal to 20 is initialized into that particular objects. Now what about static variable? Already I told you one point, that what is that point I have discussed already. So that point is what? For all the objects of that class, only one copy of static variable will be created. Where static variable will be created? Directly inside a class and outside of the methods. That means what? This is a static variable. There will be only one copy. So this is only one copy that is available both for, not only both, for all the objects of that particular class. How many objects are there for this test class now? T1 and T2. So for these two, for T1 and T2, only one static variable will be there. That is nothing but A. Now observe here. Now let us consider a small example. If before going to execute this program, I will demonstrate this example in detail. Let us consider T1 is going to write T1 dot B equal to 2222 for example. That means what here? T1 is changing B value. If T1 is changing B value, which B value will be changed? This one or this one? This one only. So that this will be changed to 2222. The value of B is, the value of B in T1 is what? 2222. Now let us consider test dot A equal to 1111. Test.a is what already I have discussed. Third point, what? If you want to access a static variable, I have to use a class name. So this is a class variable. This is a static variable, so that I can access with test.a. That means what? This is going to be changed with what? 1111. So here I have shown you what? I have taken one static variable and one instance variable. I have changed that. Now observe one point. One more point I will take here. That is T2 dot B. T2 dot B equal to 3333 I will take. That means what? This will be changed to 3333. Observe one thing here. When I change T1 dot B, it is affecting only to this one. If I change T2 dot B, it is affecting only for this B. If I am writing test dot A, it is going to affect to what? T1 and T2. So before this one, I will print test dot A. Okay, here I will print test dot A. After that, here if I print test.a, what will be the output here? 1111. Now, okay, first I will explain about this concept. Now see, same code I will write here. You can understand clearly. So just I will write what? Print of, just I want to print what is the value of B. Just I will write here T1's B, T1's B value, where it is inside T1. That is what T1 dot B. Okay. Next, same thing I will enter for B2 also. Okay. Right. This is for T2, not B2, T2. T2 dot B. This is what T2's B value. T2's B value. Now let us go to, now I will modify the values. That is what T1 dot B equal to, T1 dot B equal to 2222 for example. Next, T2 dot B equal to, I will modify into 3333. After that I will write same concept, I will print here. Same thing I will print. So now I will change what, after modification. Just I want to type what, after modification. After modification, T1's B value is, T1's B value is, okay. Next, after modification, after modification, T2 B value, T2's B value is, okay. Now observe carefully. So first I will explain about this concept. Now see what will be the output of this program. T1 B value is 20, T2 B value is same, as both are having the same instance variables. But by using T1, if I change B value, it is affecting to only B that is present inside the T. If I T2 dot B, if I am going to write, only it is going to affect to T2B only. Now I want to change, after this I want to change test dot A equal to, just I want to print, I don't want to, what we can say, I don't want to do it, change it. Just first I want to show you what is test dot A. Already I told you, if I want to access a variable, that is which variable, static variable, what I have to do, I have to use class name and also object reference. I will show you about our object reference also. A value is, I am writing A value is. So now just I will execute, 1 minute. Okay, just I will execute this one. So you can see what, A value is 10. So A value is 10 only. No, I have not modified before modifying. So now I will modify it. So A value is 10 only. Now see here, test dot A equal to 1111. I will do it, and after that I will print A value. I will print A value. This is what, after modification. After modification. Okay. Now see what will be there. We will get 1111. Now the concept is, just I don't want to do it now. I want to do it with the help of object reference. Now observe carefully. T1 dot A equal to 1111. Okay. If I write test dot A, let us see what will be the answer. Next, after that I will write what? I will write T1 dot A. T1 dot A I will write. After that I will write T2 dot A. I will write T2 dot A. After modification, T1's A value is. Next, T2's A value is. Now observe carefully. Just I will execute this program. So see what happens here. After modification, A value is 10 and B value is, sorry, and what we can say, T2's A value is 10. But only here, what it is changed? 1 minute. Right. So here what happened? After modifications, T1's value is what? 1111. This is very important point to discuss. So if you already know the concept of Java, if you already know the concept of Java, then what happens? In that Java, T1 dot, this T1 is, if T1 is modifying this one, that will be affected both for T1 and T2. But in our Python, it is different. So let us consider same concept. I will explain here. If T1 is, this is about Java, I am talking about Java. If T1 is modifying A value as 2100, next if I ask T2 dot A, it is also printing what? 2100 only. But here the concept is different. Okay. So I think it is clarity up to here. Now I will discuss about these points. Now here, these 3 points about these 4 statements I will explain now. Okay. So before going to explain that, just I will clear the screen. so that I will draw once again the diagrams. So what happens here? First we are having two objects, T1 and T2. Okay. Next, here T1 and T2 is having a value here. A value as what? 10 it is having, and for each B value we are having what? 20 for both the things, B equal to 20. So it is modified as what? T1B 2222 it is modified. Next it is modified as 3333. Okay, this is the thing we have now. Now observe carefully here. When I am going to say test.a, here test.a is what? This is a class variable, so that we are getting what? Answer as 10. Test.a is nothing but we are going to get answer as what? You can observe here. You can observe here at what? 10. After that, after modification, a value is what? 10 only here. Okay, I will tell the reason. Reason is here I am modifying with the help of what? T1.a. Okay, so if I try to modify like Java, if I try to modify a static variable with the help of object, what it will do means, so what I am telling T1.a, we are telling what same static variable will be available for T1 and T2. But here what happens means, when I write T1.a, it will check here. Then is there any a here? It is not there. So what it will do? It will insert here. Okay. So what happens here? Whenever I am asking T1.a, it is giving me this value now. So whenever I am asking test.a, it is as it is a static variable, it is going to be printed 10. If I am asking T2.a, is there anything to print in T2? So that it will print this value only. Okay. Because T1 is pointing to this one, T2 is pointing to this one. Okay, T1 is pointing to this one and T2 is pointing to this one. If I write T1 dot a equal to something, if I write some value to a, then automatically it will be available as an instance variable. But here is T2 dot b is am I writing anything to T2 dot b? I'm not writing anything. So not b a, T2 dot a, if am I writing anything here? No. So that if I ask T2 what is meant by a, it is going to give me 10 only. So it is a difference you have to understand. So what is meant by reading? You have to understand what is meant by what is meant by accessing or reading. What is meant by writing? You have to understand. So as this is the basic example, don't worry. Just I will give you some more examples about this. Okay. So this is a starting example. Now this is what a small example you have seen where we have to write a what is meant by static variable. You have understood now. So if we have to write where we have to write directly inside a class directly. Okay, and better access what with the help of, we can access both with the help of class name and also object reference. Which one is recommended? It is recommended to access the static variables with the help of class name only. So why it is compulsory, I will tell you. As you observe here now, it may not be clarity for you. Just I will take one more example for that. So before going to take that example, now I want to talk about where static variables can be declared. Already first, normally what I said, it is directly inside a class directly, but also if you want to declare anywhere else, okay, first normally according to the definition of static variables, we can say that the variables that are declared inside a class on outside of any method is called as a static variable. I want to declare some other place, in some other place, can I declare? Yes, I can declare. Now the concept is in which places we can declare that. So first one where we can declare static variables means, first one, first place, as we have seen now, in class directly, in class directly, as we have seen in the example. Second one, if you want to declare inside a constructor also, no problem, inside a constructor. Whenever you are going to declare a static variable inside a constructor, compulsory we have to use what? Class name. We have to use class name. Next, third point, we can also declare the static variables inside a instance method also. There is no problem. Inside a instance method, if you want to declare instance variables inside a instance method, then we have to use what? Self. Now I am talking about what? How to declare instance, how to declare a static variable inside instance method by using class name. So class name plays a major role when we are discussing about static variables. Okay, and next, a fourth place where we can declare this particular static variable means it is somewhat important. So you may not understand this one. So when we go to the concept of class methods, we can understand. So inside a class method, by using CLS variable, we can write any name like self. Okay, you can write any name, but generally we will use CLS. CLS indicates class, or in that we can also use class name also. Next, inside a static method also there is no problem. Inside a static method by using class name. So if you see all the points, you can observe what, except this one, you can observe what, by using class name, by using CLS variable or class name. So it is recommended to do what? It is recommended to access or to okay, it is accessed by using only class names. Here we are talking about declaration, but by accessing also it is recommended to do what? By using the class names only, right? Now I will show you all the cases. Okay, first one is class, already we have done. Next, I want to talk about a constructor. Second point is what? Constructor. So inside a constructor by using a class name. So just already it is there, leave it as it is. I want to take a static variable, that is, let us take C value as 30 for example. Next, second point is what? Third point is what? Inside a instance method. So I want to declare one instance method. So define, already I told you, whatever the method you are having, if you are going to declare with at least one parameter, generally it is a self, it is a instance method. So in instance method, generally if I write self.d, it will become what? It will become instance variable. So but I want to do what? I want to declare a static variable. Test.e equal to, I will take some 50. This is about third point. Next one, inside a class method. So class, what is meant by class method? I will tell you now. Define, same, it is also same like a method, but here if I write CLS or any variable, it will be treated as what? Observe carefully. If I write CLS here or any single variable, it will treat it as what? Method, instance method. Reason is what? For instance methods, we can have at least one variable. Here I am having one variable called as self. Is it compulsory to have a name of a self variable as a self? It is not compulsory. I can also keep CLS also. But how to differentiate instance method and class method is, for class method we have to write at the rate, observe here, at the rate, this decorator we have to write class method. This is compulsory for a class method. So you may not understand what is meant by class method, but uh, up to here what we have to understand, just class method will have at the rate class method and instance method will not have at the rate class method decorator. Just we have to write in this way. After that, what is the point? I told you how to declare the static variable inside this class methods by using what? CLS variable. So just I will take CLS dot f equal to 60 I will take, and also I will take with the help of class also, test dot g equal to 70 I will take. So next, fourth point is completed. Inside a class method by using CLS I have taken, and also by using class name also I have taken. After that, last point is what? Inside a static method. So what is meant by a static method means, if you are going to write any method, okay, without a single parameter, okay, then we can consider it as a static method. Don't worry about this method now. When we go to the methods, we can understand clearly. So as it is only just we are using them, no need of worrying about them. Okay, right, 80. So to remember, to not to make confused, just I will write here decorator as static method. It is not compulsory for static method, but it is compulsory for class method. You have to understand this one. Okay, right. So all the concepts were completed. In these places we can use the concept of what? We can have the we can declare the concept of static variable. So once, first I will if we want to print all the variables of a test class, when I write test dot underscore underscore dict, whatever the things, whatever the variables that are available in test class will be printed. Okay, now let us see here. So see, it will print some other variables also. I don't want them. Just I want to talk about this one only. This is a equal to 10. So a equal to 10 is only printed. What about all these things? Those are not going to print it. Reason is, so when this is going to be executed, when an object is created, I have to talk about this test.c. When this test.e is going to be created, if I call method 1, when this g is going to be created, when I call method 2, when this method h is going to be created, when I call method 3. So first I want to show you what are the variables that are available for in this class. That is what? Only a. So only a is available. B, C all are not available here. Next. So just I will take, this is about only once I have only without calling any constructor or without calling any method I have shown you. Now just I will create one object. If I create one object, what happens? If I create one object, it will call this init. It will come to this constructor and will execute self.b equal to 20 and also test.c equal to 30. I am talking about only this one because I am writing what test dot underscore underscore dict. Now observe. Just I will save this one and see here. What happens here? See here, A is created and C also is created. These are class variables. We can say static variables. These are class level variables. Static variables is also called as what? Class level variables. Okay, completed. After this, I want to call which method? First, I want to call method 1. T1 dot method 1. So now what happens here? If I call method 1, so this is a instance variable. I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about only about E. E will be created. That means A is created, and because of this constructor, C is created. Because of this method calling, E is going to be created. Observe now. So E is also created here. Okay. Yes. Now, next one. After this, just I want to call about method 2. Okay. So generally, I will call with the help of classes. Method 2. I am calling what? Method 2 I am calling. So just I will save. In method 2, what is there? F equal to 60 is there. G equal to 70 is there. These two are considered as what we can say static variables. Okay. So see, F, G are created. Okay. So if I call test dot underscore underscore dict underscore underscore, it will give me the variables that are available directly inside a test class. If the variables that are available directly inside a test class, those are called as static variables. Okay. So equal to 10 directly return. I can also write test. If I write test dot c equal 30 in this place, that means what? This is available here only under the test class only, inside the test class only. But what about self dot d and self dot b? Those are not available for the class. It is available for each and every object. It is separate for every object. But all these variables are available for what? To entire class. Next, I will call what? I want to call third one, that is method 3. So here also I will use test dot method 3. Okay. Now observe here. Now what happens? H also will be created. So H also will be created. Okay. Right. This is about where to declare the static variables. Now I want to show you one more thing that I can create outside of the class also. Outside of the class. So here I have not discussed that one. Just I will write here outside of the class. Okay. Outside of the class. How it has to be created. Now test dot ghi I will take equal to 90. If I write in this way, observe carefully what is going to be happen. So see what happens. I equal to 90 is also created for the test class. All these are what I'm talking about, only test dot dictionary. So it is going to give you all the variables that are available for a class test. So these are called as which variables? Static variables. So this is about how to declare and where to declare static variables. Where to declare directly inside a class or inside a constructor with the help of class name, and inside a instance method by using the class name, inside a class method by using CLS variable or test class, and next inside a static method with the help of test class. sorry, class name. And finally, we can also declare a static variable outside of the class also, but by using the concept of class name. Now here, if you observe this one, class name, this one, class method, CLS can be any name. Don't worry about the CLS, like self, CLS can be any name. So when we go to the concept of methods, there we can see in detail about this, what is meant by the CLS, what is meant by class method. Okay, everything will be discussed there. Just for the sake of static variables, I have discussed about these class methods and static methods. Okay, next, this is about how to declare. Now I want to talk about, already these are declared and now I want to access them. Okay, for accessing, just I want to talk about accessing. So first one, from where I can access, first place, in constructor I can access. How I can access? In constructor I can access, there is no problem, by using class name, or self. Next, second one, in instance method also I can access. In instance method, sorry, okay, in instance method I can access static variables. There what I have to use? By using same concept, class name or self variable. Okay, next, third one, in class method, how same here also by CLS. Whenever you are talking about instance method, like self, if I talk about constructor or instance method, there I can use self. In the same way, when I'm talking about class method, there I have to talk about CLS or class name. Okay, whenever I'm talking class name, class method, there should not be self, there should be only like CLS. Okay, right, that means you can write the name, but it will not act as a self. So better use the concept name of self for the instance methods and constructors only. If you want to write anything as a first parameter for a class method, better write CLS or any other name, but don't write self for these class methods, and don't write CLS for this constructor and instance method as a first parameter. Okay, next, in static method, in static method, same, static method means what? Only by class name, because there is no concept of self, there is no concept of CLS for the static methods. Next, outside of the class. Okay, here how to access? By using object reference. Already I have shown you this, by using object reference or class name. In first example I have shown all these concepts, but just I want to write these points now. Okay, right, now just the same example I will take and I will try to access the variables. Okay, now see, first point is what? Inside a constructor I want to access which variable? A I want to access here. Just I will print this, print of, I can write with what? So just I will take only A value here. Alright, declaration is completed. I want to talk only about what? I want to talk only about static variable accessing. So just I will remove all these concepts, all these statements. Okay, right, now observe here what is, how I can access this one. How I can access? By using class name or self. First I will write self dot A. Okay, next I can access also by using what? Class name test dot A, print of test dot A. Right, completed. This is where inside constructor. Okay, just I will print like print inside constructor. I will write here inside constructor. Okay, right, now come to instance method. Second one is what? Instance method, by using class name or self. Here also what? Just I will copy and paste this one, but just I will write what? Instance method I will write here. Instance method I will write here. Right, completed. Next, where I want to take inside a class method by using what? CLS or class name. Same thing I will write, but just I will change it as what? Self as CLS. Okay, here I will write what? Instead of self, I will write CLS, and also class name is available. This is where inside a class method. This is what? Inside instance method. Okay, right. Now last one, inside a static method by using only class name. So here I will write what? Inside only inside method, static method. I have to write here static method. Just I will write what? Test.a. Right. Now I have written everything, and let us access this one. So before going to do this one, just I'll write out of the, that is what, outside of the class also I will write here print. I want to access a value, so here I will write what? Outside the class. Outside the class I am going to write. So here what I have to write? Test.a. By using class name only I have to access, or by using object reference also I can do it, but I don't want to discuss about that particular object reference. Just after completing all these concepts I will focus on that. By using object reference I will tell you, because it is a somewhat different concept. Now see here what happens in all these cases I will explain. So first case, he first come here, execution starts here. So here one object will be created, which is referred by T1. Okay, T1 dot. So whenever this object is going to be created, it will go here and it will print what? Inside constructor self.a and test.a. Then what is a here? Already a is available here. Okay, so it will not present in a T1. It is available for T1. Okay, because it is not a separate copy for every object. It is a different. It is not a single copy. It is a single copy. It is not a different copy. Okay, right now. So these three will be printed. After that, T1 dot method 1. So in this will be printed. Next, test dot method 2. So this one will be printed. Same here also same thing. 10 will be printed. Next, test dot. So one point I have to explain. Sorry. So see, a self dot a means, so on creating which one I came here, on creating which object? T1. So self is nothing but T1 dot a. For T1, what is a? This one only. Just I'm accessing. I'm not writing any value. If I write value, once again it will be created here. Okay, I will discuss that point also. Right. Who is calling method 1? T1. So self becomes what? T1. So here what happens? T1 dot a, it is also 10. Test dot a, it is also 10. Next, in this test dot method 2, it will come here. CLS dot a. CLS dot a is nothing but 10. Test dot a, 10. Next, method 3, it will come here inside static method, and test.a is nothing but class method. It will give, that is nothing but class variable it will give, that is nothing but 10. So all values are 10. Come to here outside of the class, test.a, that means it will go to test class and it will print the a value. So all the values are nothing but a tens only. Okay, now let us see the output. So we are seeing about what? How to access. Okay, just I'm accessing, that's it. See, all the values are tens only, there is no problem. Okay, inside constructor, inside instance method, inside class method, inside static method, outside of the class. How to access I have shown you. Now the concept is, I am talking about, if you are trying to observe carefully, if you are trying to access a static variable outside the class with the help of object reference or reference variable, what happens? Let us see. Reference variable. So here what happens? If I write T1 dot a, will there be any problem? So now observe here, will there be any problem or not? There will be no problem, because I'm not giving any value. So for this T1, what is a? A is only this one. There is nothing but 10 only. In this case also 10 will be printed. But if you are going to write any statement here, that means 1 minute, after this line, if you are going to write T1 dot a equal to 20, for example, this 20 will be printed here. If you write this statement, We are not writing this t1 dot a equal to some value. I'm writing t1 dot a, just I'm accessing that. When you are accessing, there is no problem. The static variable only will be printed. Just I will show you the case. Right. In this case also, observe the last point. That's it. Okay. See here, it is also 10. There is no problem here. But when there will be a problem means, if I write, sorry, just here I will write t1 dot a equal to 250, for example. Then what is the value that is going to printed here? T1 dot, sorry, 250 will be printed. How it is going to be done? Reason is, first it will be, this will be t1 and a value is what? A value is 10 here. So for all the cases it is going to print what? 10 only. But here what I am telling, t1 dot a equal to 250. It will not modify this one. Is there any t1 inside a? Sorry, is there any a inside a t1? Not there. So it will create that and it will make 250. So when you ask t1 dot a, it will give you what? 250 only, not 10. Let us consider here one more variable is there, t2. If I ask t2 what is meant by a, it will give me 10 only. Okay. So this is the concept, how to access the static variables outside the outside the class with the help of object reference. So see here we are going to get what? 250. So in this way we can access the static variables. Okay. Next, I want to talk about modifications. So just I have discussed about that. So how to modify the static variable, let us discuss now. So if you want to modify, I can modify in two ways. Just I will take only one variable and I will explain about that, because if I take many variables you may get some confusion. Just I will take only class test and inside that I will take only one variable and just I will take one method one, and here in method one this is the instance variable only. Sorry, this is the instance method only. Here if I write self dot a equal to 10, okay, or 100 I will take. Just I am going to write t1 equal to test, and after this one I am going to write t1 dot method one I am calling. You can observe here I have not written any constructor here. Okay. Next, just I want to print a value now. Okay. Objects a value I will print. Objects a value. Okay. Now observe. So I will write what? t1 dot a. Here I will write t1 dot a. So now what happens here? Just for every step I will explain. Here first when I'm going to call this one, an object will be created. There is no constructor, so nothing will be happen. No values will be created and initialized in t1. After that t1 dot method one. Who is calling method one? t1. So self will be what? t1. t1 dot a equal to 100. Is in t1 is there any variable is there? Not there. So once again, sorry. So whenever an object is created, for that a static variable is also available. Okay. Next, a equal to, here what I'm writing, self dot a equal to 100. That means t1 dot a equal to 100. Now this will be happened. After that, if I write t1 dot a, what happens? A value will be 100 only. Now just see that point. Later I will explain two more points regarding to this. 1 minute. So here there is some indentation problem. So unintended does not match outer intended. So here because of the spaces we may get some problems. 1 minute. Okay, right. Now see what is the value we got? 100 only, because this 100 we will get. Okay. Now just I will take a class variable now. You can understand now. So just I will take class variable, print of class variable value. Just what I have to take here? Test dot a. What is the test dot a? This a, that is 10. So you are going to get value as what? 10 only. Okay, because you have written what? Test dot a. This is not modified here. Observe that. Why I am showing these two cases means, when I write t1 dot self dot a equal to 100 in Java, what happens? T1 will modify static variable, but in Python what happens? When I tell self.a, then what happens? It is going to create one more instance variable inside this object. It will not modify the static variable. Okay, so if we want to modify a static variable in class method, then we can use class name or CLS. That means what here I'm talking only about in anywhere. If you want to modify, generally we will use what? Test.a. Okay, but if you want to modify inside a class method, there we can use both, what we can say, class CLS and class name also. Just I will take two more examples for this one so that you will get a clarity on this concept. Okay, right. Now same thing I will take here, self dot b value I will take, some b value equal to 20 I will take, and what I will do means I will create two objects here. One is T1 and another one is T2 I will create. Okay, T2 equal to test. Now two objects we are having here. So I am going to write T1 dot A equal to 111 and T2 dot A equal to 222. For example, I am going to write. Not, I will not change A, just I will change it as B. Okay. Next, after that, I will print the data. That's it. Print of, I want to print T1's data. T1's data. So what is the T1's data we are going to have? In that we can have A and B value. So just I will write T1 dot A comma T1 dot B I will write. Okay. Same thing I will write to T2 also. Just I will write what? T2 dot B, T2 dot A. Here I will write T2's data. Now just I will explain before going to execute the program. Now see what happens here. Test T1 is created. While T1 is going to created, what happens? One static variable is there, A10. Okay, it is pointing to it. It is available for T1 also. After that, in 1 minute, here I have taken method 1. Just I will change it to, it is not method 1. Let us take it as a constructor. Okay, init. Okay, I will take it as a constructor. So what happens now? When it is going to be created, what happens? It is going to call constructor, and here what happens? B value is going to be created as 20. Completed. First step is completed. Second step, what happens? T2 is going to be created, and this A is available for T2 also, and this constructor is going to be called, and for this one also we are having B equal to 20. Completed till now. Now what I am doing? T1 dot A equal to 111. T1 dot A means what? Is there any instance variable here? No. So that you would create what? A equal to 111 here. Next, T2 dot B equal to, is there any B here in T2? In T2, is there any B here? Yes, it is there. So that will modify B as 222. If I print T1 dot A, 111 will be printed. T1 dot B, 20 will be printed. Next, T2 dot A. According T2, is there any A in this one? No. So that will print this value. So 10 will be printed here. Next, T2 dot B, 222 will be printed. Okay. That means what? Here T1 dot A 111, this one 20, T2 dot A 10, next T2 dot B 222 will be printed. Just I will execute this program. Now observe. So what happens? 111, 20, 10, 222 is printed. So this is one example. Okay. So what here we have to understand about this example? T1 dot A, whenever we are going to execute this statement, we are not modifying the static variable. We are not modifying the static variable. We are adding one more instance variable with named A inside a T1. So use class names. It is recommended to use class names to modify static variable. So if I need to change this one, then if I change here, if I write here, observe carefully, if I write here test.a, then what happens if I write test.a? Then observe carefully, test.a equal to 111, then it will not be created. First case, what happens? B is created and A is here. Next case, T2 equal to test, then B is created with value 20. Okay, Next, test.a equal to triple one. That means I am changing this one now. Test.a means now t2.b equal to triple two. That means it is changed to triple two. There is no problem. Next, t1.a, for t1, what is the a value? This one. So answer will be what? Triple one. Next, t1.b 20. Next, t2.a, for t2 also a is what? This one. So here also what will be printed? Triple one will be printed. Next, t2.b. t2.b means what? Triple two will be printed. So there is no problem. Triple two is printed. So just one thing we have to understand is what? If you want to modify a static variable, better don't modify it with the object reference. Better modify it with the help of class names. Right now, see here. Just I will save this program. So what is the output? 11120 and 111 We got it. Okay. So these are the basic concepts we have to understand in detail, as these are basics, but you have to understand in detail. So one more point I have discussed, that is what? Whenever you are dealing with the concept of class methods, there I can use what? cls.a and class names also I can use. There is no problem. Okay. Right. Now let us talk about deleting the static variables of a class. Okay. How to delete? As yesterday, instance variables we have seen, but here what we have to use? If you want to delete any, just I will take here small example. I can delete. First, I will write those statements here. Okay. Just I will write those statements. What we are talking about? Deleting. So deleting static variables. Okay. Static variables. So how to delete and where to delete? So we can delete static variables generally by using a class name. Okay. So class name, what we have to do? Delete. So we have to use delete keyword, del keyword, class name dot variable name. Whatever the static variable you want to remove, we can use what? Class name dot variable name. Okay. Anywhere. We can use this anywhere. But if you're talking about a class method, okay, but if you're talking about a class method, additionally we can use what? We can also use cls also. Cls dot variable name. Anywhere we can use this concept. Anywhere, sorry. Anywhere you can use what? This concept. There is no problem. In CLS also we will use this concept. Additionally, what we can use? We can use CLS dot variable name. Just I will show you by taking a small example. A equal to 10, I will take some B equal to 20 and C equal to 30. I am going to take here. And I will take one class method. So CLASS class method I am going to take here. And here, 1 minute, sorry. Just I will define this one. Define, I will take the name as method 1. Okay. Here I am going to take CLS. Okay. Right. As this is because this becomes what? A class method. How we can say it as a class method? Because at the rate class method we have written. Okay. Delete CLS dot A. That means after executing this one, CLS dot A is deleted. After that, I want to delete by using a class name. Test dot B I want to delete. Test dot B I want to delete. So it is also deleted. Okay. Just here I want to print that one. Print of. First I want to check what are the variables, static variables that are available inside a class. Otherwise we can say what are the variables that are available inside a class test. Now see, just I will execute this one. You can observe what? Oh, A, B, C. All these are what? Variables that are available inside a class, because it is a class method. Sorry, this is a class. So here we are having what? 3 variables it is available. After this, just I will call a method 1. Okay. Just I will call what? Method 1. So just before that I will give some space. Okay. Otherwise, just I will remove this one. 1 minute. Here I will write this statement. That is what I want to call method 1. Test dot method 1. If I call this one, what happens? You will not see A and B, because first I am calling here and after printing. So first it is what? 10, 20, 30 are there. We have seen that. After that I am calling what? Test dot method 1. Then what happens? I am deleting A and I am deleting B. Then only C has to be there. So see, only C is there. A and B are not there because I have deleted it. Next, I want to delete the variable from outside of the class. That means here I will delete test dot C. What I have to delete. delete test dot c. Now what happens here? By using this method 1, I have deleted a and b, and by using this one, I have deleted c also. There will be no concept of abc now. Now see, there is no static variables called as abc. That one you can understand clearly here. Okay, right. Now one more example I will take to make you clarity. Just that is, I will take one class, and here I will take in for where I am going to take in everything. That means I will take a static method, I will take instance method, I will take constructor, I will take class method also here. Just see, a equal to 10 I am taking here, and I am going to define init because I want to show how to delete in all the cases. Okay, init I am going to take here, I am going to write self. So as is a constructor. Here what I will do, just I will create a b. I am creating b here, and I will delete what? A. Delete test.a. Test.a I am going to do. Now what happens? If I execute a constructor, then b will be created and a is going to be deleted. After that, I want to create a instance method. Def method 1 I am going to take. Here what happens? Here we are going to have, here I am going to have method 1, that is the instance method. So I am going to write what? Self. Okay, so here what I will do, here I want to create one more variable test.c, that equal to 30 I am going to take, and here I will delete what? Delete b I am going to delete test.b, because I want to show how to delete the variables inside each and every method. That is, here I have taken instance method, here I have taken constructor. Now I will take some class method, some method 2 I am going to take method 2, and here I will take what? As it is a class method, I will take cls. So just here to represent that, I will write what? At the rate, this is a decorator class method I have to write here. Okay, right here what I will do, just I want to do what? Test dot I want to create. So just I can create with what? Cls dot d equal to 40. I'm creating it. Next I want to delete. So just I can delete what? Delete cls dot c. Here I can use what? Both class name and cls also. So just I have used only cls. Now I want to take static method. Is it compulsory to write a decorator for the static method? It is not compulsory, but just to indicate that one I am writing. But decorator is important. Sorry, decorator is important for class name. It is not. It is compulsory for class name. Okay, it is not compulsory for static methods. Next, here how I have to take test dot. I am creating what? E. Test dot e equal to 50. I am going to take, and I am deleting d here. How to delete? Delete space del space test dot d I am going to write. Now see, in all places I have done the deletion. Okay, that is what in constructor, in instance method, in class method, in static method I have discussed. Now see, so first I will execute what? Just I want to show you what are the variables that are available for a class, which is nothing but a static variables. Class variables are nothing but what? Static variables. So test dot underscore underscore dict I am going to write here. Okay, now what we can understand, here we are having only, it will show you all the variables. So which variables first it will show? A equal to 10 only, because I'm not executing all these cases. Now observe first case, so only a equal to 10 is there. Now what I will do, just I will create one object, that is what? T1 equal to test I will create. Now what is going to be happen? A constructor is going to be executed here. This constructor is going to be executed. Then automatically what happens? B will be created and A will be removed. That means what will be there now? We are having, see here, you can observe here, B is there. B is there here. A is not there. A is not there here. Okay, because I have deleted that. Okay, next case, I want to call method 1. This one I want to call. Now here what happens? So after this I will call method 1. T1 dot method 1 I will call. So method 1, if I call, what happens? Now here B is created, A is deleted. Now in method 1 what happens? C is created, B is deleted. That means what is available now? Only C. Now see here. Only C is available now. You can observe here. Okay. Next, I will call method 2. That is what test dot method 2 I am going to write. Okay. Method 2 I am going to call. Now what happens if I call this one? This is D is created, C is removed. That means which one is available now? If I print, only D is available. Now see, only D is available. There is no concept of ABC. Okay. Next case, I will also call test dot method 3. Okay. Method 3 I am calling here. Now what is there in method 3? This is E is created and D is deleted. Now if you observe here, E is there. Okay. And D is deleted now. Now finally, I want to delete E also. Then I can delete it outside of the class. And delete test dot E I am going to write here. Now what happens if I print dict here? What happens? Every static variable is removed. There are no static variables which are created in our program. So observe now, there is no variable what we have created. These are all inbuilt things. These are all about static method. This is about class method. This is about instance method. There is no any static variables in our class now because I have deleted all the things. Okay. Now here just I want to, this is about the static variables. Some more important points we have to discuss about this static variables. In that, first one what we have to see means, by using object reference or self, we can read variables, but we cannot. That means what is, I am summarizing the points. That is what, by using object reference or self. Okay, these are very important points. We can, what we can do, we can read static variables. We can read static variables, but observe carefully. This point is very important. We cannot modify or delete. We cannot modify or delete. If you try to modify or delete by using the self, if you try to modify, what happens? A separate instance variable will be created. It will not be modified. Already we have seen this point. Next, we can read. Okay, we can read static variables. How we can read? Already we have seen this one also. We can read static variables by using class name, self, CLS, where we can use CLS in class method, or we can also use object reference. Okay, for reading there is no problem. We can use any of these things. Next, if you want to modify, okay, we can modify or delete. We can modify or delete a static variable. Then what we have to use? We have to use a class names. We have to use class name. But if you want to delete or modify in a class method, there I can use what? CLS also I can use. This is applicable only for class methods only. Okay, when you want to modify or delete in a class method, I can use both class names and CLS also. Okay, right. Next one. Here, if you are trying to modify, already here we have discussed, if you are trying to modify, see, by using self I am talking, if you are trying to modify a variable by using a self, then what happens? Or by using an object reference, what happens? Then a new variable is going to be created, new instance variable is going to be created. Or if you're trying to delete, about modifying, okay, if you're trying to delete, that variable is not available, so that we are going to get an error. Just I will take a small example for that. See here, just I'm taking a class test. I'm going to take, in this I'm taking one variable a equal to 10. Now I'm going to create a object test. I'm going to take here. If you see this one, I'm going to delete t dot a. If I execute this one, before that I will modify this one. Observe carefully. T dot a equal to 100. I am modifying it. Now print of, if I write t1.a I will write, and also I will write print of test.a. Now if I print t.a, what happens? Sorry, t1.a, what happens? If I print t1.a, sorry, t1, not t1, this is what? T only. Okay, right. This is what t. When I'm going to create this one, this is what a static variable. So it is available here. And next, t.a, is there any a here? Not there. It will not modify this one. Here it will go, it is going to be created. So that if I write test dot, sorry, it is only t. If I write t.a, then what happens? Then automatically this will be printed. Here 100 will be printed, and test.a means what? 10 will be printed. That means what? If you're trying to modify with the object reference, what happens? It is not going to modify the static variable. It is going to modify, it is going to create a new instance variable. So output you can understand here. So you want 110. Now I want to delete. I am not talking about all these concepts, just I want to delete. Is there any a inside a t? Not there. So delete, what I will tell, t dot a. Now here what I am trying to do means, what I am trying to do here, an object is created here and static variable a is available here. This is t. If I say t dot a, you can access this one. If I say t dot a, but if I ask you to delete, if I write t dot a to delete, is there any a here? Not there. So it's going to give you what? It is going to give you an error. Okay, let us see which type of error we are going to get here. See which type of error we are going to get? Attribute error. Okay, so this is about static variables. Okay, we have seen how to create, where to create, and how to access, and how to delete the static variables. Okay, one more point I have to discuss about this del space t dot, that is when we are going to delete any variable with the help of object reference, why it is not possible, and when we are trying to modify the value, why it is possible. Let us see with a small example now. So let us take a small static variable here. So whenever you are going to take a static variable, so it will be common for all the objects of that particular class. Let us consider this is t1 and this is t2. If I say delete t1.a, so generally t1.a, what generally we will think, what if I access without this deletion, if I ask t1.a, it will give me what? 10. But if you are going to say delete space t1.a, why it is not going to be deleted means, it will be referred by all the objects of that particular class. So that means what? This will be point, this is going to point to this one, and all the objects we are going to create, it is going to point to the same variable. Otherwise we can say what? It is a class variable. If you are going to delete this variable with the help of this object reference, so it may be accessed by any other variable. Okay, so it is not possible to use the object reference to delete the static variable. So this point we have to understand clearly. Okay, so now next variable is what? Local variables. So it is a small concept, right? Now let us see about local variables. So what is meant by local? In the name it says what? Local. So local means it is local to anything. So here if you are going to consider a local variable is nothing but a variable that is going to be used inside any method. Inside any method is called as a local variable. So local variables are variables which are used inside a method. So why we have to use inside a method? Already we are having some instance variables and static variables we are having. Again, what is the need of using these local variables means, sometimes we may require some variables for temporary use. Okay, for temporary use, that means what? At that particular time we require that variable, later we don't want that particular variable, so that for that purpose we are going to use the concept of these local variables. So now let us take one small example for this one. Okay, before going to that, I want to say the other name for these local variables can also be called as temporary variables, or this can be called as what? Method level variables. Okay, So instance means what? We can say instance variables as object level variables. Okay. Next static variables is also called as class level variables, and also these local variables is called as what? Method level variables. Okay, right. Now just I will take one small example. So I will demonstrate about these local variables. So see here, just I will take a class. I'm talking about local variables. So that just I will create one method here. So define, I will take some m1, and here I will take one variable I equal to 0, where this I equal to 0 has been taken inside a method 1. That means this I equal to 0 can be accessed only within the method 1 because it is local to that method 1 m1. Okay, it cannot be accessed outside of this method 1. So just I will take a while here, while for I less than 5 I'm going to take. I can access here, there is no problem because this is written inside this method only. Yes, just I want to print what? I want to print hi method, sorry, hi. How many times it's going to print? 5 times it is going to print. Just I'm going to access this one, and sorry, I'm going to use this m1 method, and I'm calling what? M1 method. How to call that one? I have to create an object of test, and I have to call what? T dot m1. Here if you observe this, m1 is not having any parameters. Okay, so that it can be called as what? Static method. For static method you can have at the rate static method decorator, or it is not compulsory to have. So I'm leaving as it is. So for every loop it has to be printed, so that I am going to take I plus equal to 1. I plus equal to 1 is nothing but what? I equal to I plus 1. So if you observe this one now, see how many 1 minute, m1 takes 0 position, but 1 was given here. So let us see here, one small mistake it is going to throw. So why it is going to throw means reason I'm calling with the help of what? Object reference. If it is a static method, I have to call it with what? No need of having this object reference also. Yes, now you can observe that. So as it is a static method, we have to call with what? Class name. So we got hi 5 times. Okay, here what we have to observe from this example, I is a local variable which is declared inside a method. This is first point we have to observe. Now just I will take one more method. Okay, one more method I will take, that is, it may be any method, it may be static method, or it may be instance method. Just I will take instance method now. Okay, just I will take instance method. Right, now here what I am going to take means I will take one variable a equal to 10, and just I will print here a value, print of a I am going to take. And now here I am going to take one more method called as define m2, and here I am going to take some self, and here I will take some b value, b equal to 20, and I will print b value here. Okay, observe carefully, and I will call two methods by using a variable because these are instance methods. There is no problem if I call with the help of test where I can call with the objects also. There is no problem. So t dot m1 I am going to call. Okay, next t dot m2 I will call. So if you observe here, we are going to get output as what? M1, 10 will be printed. M2, here B is going to be initialized to 20 and B is going to be printed. Now, so only 10 and 20 is printed. There is no problem here. So this A is local to M1 and B is local to M2. Here there is no problem about the local variables. Now the concept is, I will try to access A here. Okay, observe carefully. Is A is present in M2? No. Then how we can access this A inside this one? I am thinking that I can access this A here, but is it possible? It is not possible. So what it is going to tell? See, clearly it is telling what? Name A is not defined. Where it is not defined? In this t dot m2. In m2 it is not defined, so that I cannot access this a equal to 10 outside of this method. Inside of this method I can access. Outside of this method is nothing but what? Outside of this method means after this line I cannot access this a value because up to here the method is going to be ended. Okay, so within the method only I can access the local variables. Outside the method I cannot access that local variables. Okay, now right, when these local variables are going to be created generally, so this is very important point to understand. Local variables are going to be created once method is called. When once method is called, then local variables will be created. Okay, then local variables are created. Then when it is going to be destroyed, once, see here, once we are coming out of this method, then automatically that variable is going to be deleted. Once method execution is completed, once method execution is completed, then local variable will be removed from the memory. Local variable will be deleted. I can say it as a will be deleted. So that what happens here, once it is present here, if I try to access here, what happens, that A is deleted and it is not available for M2. Once if I call M1, see, observe here, just I will draw a small lines here. If I call T dot M1, so it is going to call M1 here and it is going to create A value as 10 here. Okay, next it is going to print it. After what happens here, it is going to come out, the control comes out here. Then what happens, this is going to be deleted. And now what happens, T2.M2, it is going to call this one B equal to 20. Now B is created with 20 value and it is going to print. Then where is A? A is not there. Okay, it is not available here, it is not available anyway. Whatever the variable here, it is not, it is created, is not available to here. So just I am going to relate this concept. So it is not there, so how we can access, it is not possible. Okay, so these are the important points about your local variables. Okay, two more points are very important when we are discussing about these local variables. So generally, if you see the concept of Java, okay, Java or C or any other languages, there you may get one small point that if you are going to define, if you are going to define or declare inside a for loop, inside a for loop, int I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. In this way, if I'm going to write a for loop, we are going to consider this I is local to for loop. Okay, I is local to for loop in C, C++ and Java. But if you are going to consider in Python, if you are going to write for I in range of 5, for example, if I am going to write in this way, here I will write some statements. This I is not only belonging to this statements, but let us consider this for loop is present inside a method called as M1. So this I is not only local to this for loop, it can also be accessed in this method. So I am not telling here, so I am not telling that this I is local to this for loop here in Python, but here what I am going to say, this I is local to this for loop, whether it may be written inside a method called as M1 here also. Now see here, M1 is a method and I is declared here. So this I can be accessed where? From this open bracket to this closed bracket. That means within the for loop only. Then what about in Python? If you are going to write I value for a for, it is not only accessed inside the for loop, it can also be accessed inside the method also. There is no problem. This is the important point we have to understand about these local variables. That means if you are going to write in control statements, that is like if, else, or for, we can also consider while. If you are going to use any variables inside those loops or those conditions or those control statements, those variables are not only local to that particular blocks, it is also available for the methods also where it is written. Okay, now just I will take a small example to make you understand about this concept. Right, now here I will take one method. First method I will take here. Okay, now define M1 I am going to take here. So here just I will take it as a static method. Okay, now what I am going to do here, I am going to write one for loop here. For I in range of 5 I will take. What I am going to do here means, just I want to print high here. Print high. So there is no problem here. High will be printed 5 times when I call this method. But if I print I here, there is no problem, because otherwise with the high only I will print. With the high I will print high 1, high 2 I will print. So I value I will print here. There is no problem here. But if I try to access this I value here, okay, that is here I will print I value. Now observe here what happens here whenever for loop is going to be executed. So I, okay, first of all high 0, high 1, high 2, high 3, high 4 is completed. Now whenever it is coming out of this loop, for loop is nothing but only up to here only. This is not belonging to for loop. It belongs to your method. It belongs to your method. So here whatever the statements that are starting from this point are belonging to this method. So whatever the statements that are belonging to for loop that are going to be start from this point. Okay. So here generally in the concept of Java, C and C++, it is not correct. But in the concept of Python, it is correct. Reason is what? Here whatever the variable that is written for a for, it is not only local for the for loop, where the for loop is going to be written, not only for, it may be while or anything, where it is going to be written. That means where that for loop is, in this example, where this for loop is going to be written inside a m1. So inside that m1 also I can use this one. This is very important point. Okay. So just I will call what here? Just I will call m1 by using a class name test.m1. I am going to call. So what we are going to get? High 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 we got, and also I value. Finally, after before leaving this one, what is the I value? 4. So one, okay, range is completed with 4. It came outside and it is going to print what? I value as 4. That means I is accessed outside this for loop also. But it is not correct in the concept of Java and any other languages like C and C++ and Java. Okay, this is the important point to understand. Okay, now I will try same point here. If I write this one here, that means what? This I belongs to class. If I try this one, what happens? You can observe here. Name I. 1 minute. Okay, see here. Name I is not defined. Okay, it is not defined because it is defined inside here. Okay, it is, I am accessing outside of the method. Inside of the method means what? It has to be with a tab space. It has to be, indentation should be there. It is not indented for this method. It is indented for the class. So this I is not defined. This I is defined inside a method, so that it has to be, it cannot be accessed outside of this method. So the concept is what? The local variables can only be accessed inside the method only. Okay. Next, the point already I have discussed is what? When these local variables are going to be created at the time of method execution. That means whenever we are going to call that particular method, then local variables are going to be created. Once we are going to come out of that particular method, then what happens? Automatically those variables are going to be destroyed. Okay. This is about local variables. So local variable means what? Whatever the variables that are going to be written inside a methods are called as local variables. So where we can access those variables? We can access those variables only within that method. It cannot be accessed outside of that method. Next, if you are going to write any for loop, so if I'm, this is what this I will become what? Generally in this case, this may be Java program or C program or C++ program. This I will act as a local variable for this loop only, for loop only. It cannot be accessed here. Okay, cannot be accessed outside. So here in our concept, what happened? So this I can be accessed. Observe that, because it is declared here. So it is declared. It is also declared in the for loop only. But this I can be accessed not only in the for loop. It can also be accessed in that method. That means where it is written inside M1. So this I can be accessed in this M1 method also. But outside of M1, it is not going to be accessed. So this is one point we have to remember. So when local variable is going to be created, once that method is called, that means what? In this, whenever we are going to start the execution of that particular method, then local variables are going to be created. once we are going to get out of that particular method, means once the execution of that method is completed, then automatically the local variables are going to be destroyed. Okay, so this is about static variable and local variables. Already in previous session we have seen about instance variables also. In next session we are going to see the concept of types of methods that can be written inside a class. Those are nothing but instance method, class methods and static methods. We will see these methods in next session. Thank you.